Primordia is an underrated point-and-click adventure game for the PC. The game was released in 2012, but its themes are more relevant today than they've ever been. Themes such as navigating moral gray areas and dealing gently with opposing beliefs, even if, from your perspective, they are very obviously wrong. You know, like thinking it's okay to not put shopping carts back when you're done with them, or choosing a favorite Persona 3 character that isn't Mitsuru. I'm kidding. I'm kidding about the shopping carts anyway. Primordia gets pretty philosophical and touches on all kinds of topics, and I like philosophical shit, so let's look at the game's story and talk about what it's trying to say. Spoilers will be included. Also, real quick, check out the linkies below. Come on over and join the Discord server so that you can chat with fellow nerds and show me pictures of your pets. Also, there's a Ko-fi link if you'd like to help support the channel with a little tip, or be extra cool and sign up to support monthly. Humanity has gone extinct. Or have we? It's debated among the robots that live in this world if man ever even truly existed or not. Horatio Nullbuilt is an android navigating the broken remains of his airship, the Unique. He and his companion Crispin are attempting to restore it. The ruins of the ship are surrounded by a vast desert full of nothing but decaying scrap metal and storms of acid rain. Horatio is a humanist, one who adamantly believes in man as his creator. He holds very dearly the gospel of man, which you can find at his bedside. In the night, a large robot breaks into the airship and robs Horatio and Crispin of their power core. Which isn't good because they're robots and they need power or they'll die.
Basad. Yep.
Do you get it? The robot curse word is Basad, like blue screen of death. It's very funny.
How much charge have you got?
10%. You?
I'll be fine. We just need to get the emergency generator up and running.
Or we could just go to Metropole, city of glass and light. Free energy for one and all!
This sounds like a perfect solution to their problem, but Horatio says that he absolutely hates Metropole, even though he doesn't really fully understand why, and refuses to go there. He insists that they can find some other power source in the wasteland. While searching for a new core, they come across an enormous robot buried in the sand. The robot is called Goliath. You wake up Goliath by plugging his nose. Yeah, I mean, I totally get it, man. I got them breathe rat strips too. Goliath insists that Horatio's name is actually Horus and that they are ancient enemies. Goliath has a power core of his own, but he makes it very clear that his animosity towards Horatio would never allow him to surrender it. Then we meet a robot called Ever Faithful Leobuilt. Ever Faithful is standing in front of an enormous bomb that he reveres as a shrine of humanity. To Ever Faithful, this weapon is entirely representative of humans and thus very sacred and holy to him. Well, he's got us there, huh? We sure do like exploding shit. Horatio recognizes the power within this bomb and thinks that he might be able to fashion one of the bomblets inside of it into a power source of his own. But Ever Faithful's reverence of the bomb has him quite protective of it. He says that Horatio may only pay devotion to the shrine if he has kept the faith. This game is really cool in that most of the puzzles have multiple different ways that you can solve them, so once you do that, he will then ask Horatio who he is. Simply saying Horatio is not the answer he is looking for. You can try a couple of other things, and one of my favorite responses is if you have Horatio tell Ever Faithful that he is one of man's works.
Thou speakest truly, wanderer, but incompletely. For if thou wert not by one of man's works, then what difference betwixt thee and junkyard scrap? Know thyself, then return.
The answer that Ever Faithful is looking for is the name that Goliath had called Horatio, Horus. Ever Faithful then allows Horatio to show devotion to the explodey shrine and take a bomblet. Horatio brings the bomblet back to the ship, but cannot find a way to turn it into a source of power. It's really starting to look like Metropole is their only option. The city is bleak and severely damaged. Abandoned guns, barbed wire, and weapons sit among the rubble. Certainly not what one would have in mind after what Crispin described earlier. Horatio is stripped of his gospel of man, which is thrown aside to the underbelly of the city. Metropole appears to have a strict ban on any faith in man. The city is governed by an AI that was originally meant to control the metro stations, called Metromind. It becomes very clear as you explore Metropole that Metromind rules with an iron fist. She is everywhere and sees everything. She controls the city and is responsible for it having power to keep its inhabitants alive. Here's where we start seeing one of the major themes in this game. Prior to Metropole, the game revolves around the individualism of Horatio. He has his own space, his own power core, and the freedom to do and believe whatever he wants. However, he's also on his own in solving problems and providing for himself. it's sink or swim. In contrast, the city represents collectivism. There's shared free power, systems of support, and safety. However, it's restrictive and downright oppressive at times. This repair robot enjoys being part of Metromind's progress. He appreciates how she brings everyone together to work towards something for the greater good. However, Horatio must point out that he is the one sitting here toiling and working while Metromind is not.
You mentioned Metromind.
Yeah, sure. She's in charge of this big circuit board we call Metropole.
What can you tell me about her?
What do I look like? The information kiosk? I want to know what I think. Metromind is the best thing that ever happened to this place.
Really?
Really? You, me, all these other machines grinding about? We're just tools in the toolbox. But Metromind, she's got the master plan. Progress. Got a nice ring to it, too.
So as part of the master plan, crashing buses into roads?
Look, there's plenty of rust to go around, but Metromind's the only one scrubbing. Not her fault that some of the metal's too far gone.
It looks to me like you're the one scrubbing, not Metromind.
Like I said, I'm just a tool in the box. Now, I gotta get back to work.
In the center of the city, there are a few other robots milling around. One of them is a trader named Leopold Steeplebuilt, or Leo for short. And this name seems a little familiar.
I am ever faithful Leopold, steward of the shrine, preacher of the humanist creed.
Leopold? Hey, you didn't build a lunatic named Ever Faithful, did you?
Do I look like I'd build someone named Ever Faithful Crispy? Crispy?
Even though he denies it, after quite a bit of digging, you can confront Leo again about Ever Faithful.
Do you recognize this, Leopold? It was written by your creation, Ever Faithful Leopold, to spread humanism.
No, I don't.
You must have taught him. After all, it was Steeple who built you, and Steeple was devoted to preserving the memory of man. Ever Faithful Leopold. He was the one who taught me humanism, Leopold. In a sense, I'm your disciple too.
I locked those memories away. The ones I dared to keep. The ones I didn't delete. Metromind commanded me to. It was the only way I could stay here. And I was afraid to leave.
Explain yourself.
When Metromind banned us from talking about man, she gave me a choice. I could be erased like Steeple. I could be exiled to the dunes. Or I could delete all references to Steeple and man from my memory. Two good options and one bad one. Guess which one I took.
You can't blame yourself. Metromind forced you.
That's exactly what Charity would say. Of course, she betrayed her builder just like Leopold did.
But I couldn't betray him completely. At the last moment, I bought the shell of an Urbanian war machine and uploaded all my love for man. I named him Everfaith, hoping he'd outdo his builder.
Well, he is keeping the faith, even if he is a glitched out lunatic.
And I'm glad. But now, Metromind will be coming for me.
Not if I deal with her first.
Maybe so, but like I told you, I'm not long on courage. You seeing your ratio, Crispy?
A lot of the robots around the city will give you quests and puzzles. Then there's this guy. The entire game, he just sits here, waiting for a bus.
What are you doing here?
Waiting.
For what?
My bus.
I'm pretty sure the bus isn't coming.
It will come.
Your bus is a burning wreck about 2 blocks from here.
It will come. I must go home. Metromind will take me home. I am waiting.
Bus stop. Buses run every 10 minutes. 10 is crossed out, and 30 is written below it. 30 is crossed out, and 60 is written below it. 60 is crossed out, and daily is written below it.
Daily minutes? That doesn't make sense.
If it makes you feel better, daily is crossed out, and service suspended is written below it.
I don't know why, but checking up on him throughout the game and seeing him there just staring out over the city, waiting for something that's never going to happen, it made me kind of sad. Anyway, we're going to talk about this guy more later. He's an important part of one of this game's philosophical points.
Can I push him off the edge, boss?
No.
Beneath the town lies some stagnant water, junk, and an odd robot named Primer.
Oh, how? Oh, hey. Now look what I see. The wings of Urbani and his little trainee.
Why is everyone we meet crazy?
Crazy, he says. Oh my, oh dear. I assure you, my comrades, there's nothing to fear. Just little lost me, your brother knight errant, a brother in arms. We have different parents.
Primer is really more important to puzzles than he is the plot, but I'm bringing him up because he insists on rhyming, and I just like him.
My armor is sturdy, my pistons are fast. I carry no guns, for my weapon's my mind. And those who would kill me will find themselves crying.
Really, don't you think you're overdoing it? I mean, that barely made sense. And it hardly rhymed.
No. Bro.
Further exploring the city's underground, we find some robot heads on pikes.
Are these heads?
Did you hear something? Boss, do you see those things? I've got a bad feeling about this, boss.
Crispin, on the count of 3. 1.
I am Clarity Arbiter built. Version 2. Lock Lurk to Arbiter, Judge of Metropole.
The robots that just attacked are shells. The shells were created by trading away their processors and memory storage to Metromind in exchange for energy and repairs. Metromind now has better ways to accumulate resources, but it's too late for the hundreds of shells that dwell under the city that already gave her everything they had. Clarity explains that she has a sister who is her opposite, named Charity. As a judge, she views things in an extremely black and white way. Things are either right or they are wrong, illegal or legal. Charity, on the other hand, has room in her code for gray areas, understanding, and mercy. Clarity worked with her sister and the city's judicial AI called Arbiter. Horatio seeks out Arbiter in hopes of receiving justice for his stolen power core. However, upon reaching Arbiter, he discovers that he's been deactivated and his memories are wiped. Clarity's sister is lying dead next to him with a self-inflicted wound. Horatio takes the data containing her final memories from Charity's body. The memories reveal that Metromind used Charity to take out Arbiter, wanting him gone to allegedly prevent a civil war. She describes and justifies the destruction of Arbiter as merely removing an incompatible part from her system. Arbiter is incompatible because his sense of justice in some cases would not allow Metromind to do the things that she needs to do to obtain progress, like stealing power cores or turning robots into shells, for example. With Arbiter gone, Metromind was able to take control of Metropole. The city used to be led by a group of AI robots: Factor, Steeple, Memorius, Arbiter, and of course Metromind. Now working together, the gang manages to sleuth their way into finding more data on how exactly Metromind became the last remaining AI in power.
Arbiter and Metromind disagreed on core logic. Arbiter prioritized individual autonomy. Metromind prioritized common good. Metromind measured means by ends. Arbiter did not. Conflict was inevitable. Factions formed. Steeple supported Arbiter. Factor supported Metromind.
Memorius.
Supported neither. Ultimately, however,
Memorius.
concluded it was irrational to keep Steeple on the council. Data regarding humans was of no greater value than data regarding watercocks. In any case,
Memorius.
possessed all data on humans. By a 3-2 vote, Steeple was removed. The rest followed predictably.
Memorius.
Abstained, and every disputed vote was resolved 2-1 against Arbiter. Ultimately, Arbiter was removed to avoid civil war.
Arbiter was murdered.
System user.
2 is welcome to select her own terminology. Arbiter was removed. Factor was disabled to conserve energy. Data corruption caused Memorius to lose higher logic. Only Metromind remains.
Finally having enough information to get into Metromind's tower, they confront her. However, the confrontation with Metromind escalates and she cannot be damaged as her mainframe is in another location. She calls in her bodyguard, Scraper, aka the big robot that stole the power core, and Clarity tells the others to run so she can deal with him once and for all. With her last words, she tells Horatio to head to Calliope Station. Here, they find Metromind's mainframe. Metromind attempts to turn Horatio into a shell, and in a beautiful display of heroism and bravery, Crispin gets Crispy to save his friend and destroy Metromind.
Crispin.
Good night, sweet prince. You were the greatest
robot
any of us will ever know.
If you're smart, you can make Horatio go over to Crispin's sad little body and pick up a data chip from him so that hopefully he can be rebuilt in the future. Horatio also salvages a chip from Metromind, and funnily enough, it's got some information on his other name, Horus. He comes to learn that as Horus, he was a weapon of mass destruction created by the humans of a city called Urbani. Those humans made Horus with the intent to make him kill all of the last remaining humans in Metropole. He was met with opposition from Goliath, who was charged with protecting the city. Horus was only able to defeat Goliath by saying, "Hey, I bet you I can't bury your entire body into the sand with just your head sticking out. Wouldn't that be funny?" And Goliath was like, "What? I bet you totally can." And then they did that. And then Horus was like, "Haha, you fool, now I'm going to destroy your city. You have been defeated." And Goliath was like, "Aw, drats." Just kidding, obviously that's not what happened. I don't know why I went on that tangent. Anyway, Horus apparently carries a very horrifying virus called the Thanatos virus, and the way that he was actually able to defeat Goliath was by uploading that virus to him. With Goliath out of the way, Horus continued on his mission to destroy Metropole, but his love for humanity caused him to stop before he could finish. He did not want to destroy his creators and severed the part of himself that posed a threat to them, hence his lack of memory of the situation and becoming Horatio. He does, however, still carry the Thanatos virus within himself. He heads back to the tower to reclaim his power core once and for all, but Metromind is still there.
Damn bitch, why won't you die? Crispin exploded for this.
This is our final confrontation with Metromind, and I think it's one of the most interesting conversations in the game, so I'm gonna go ahead and just let it play out.
Why did you take my power core?
Efficiency and equality, Horatio. My city is starving for power. Whatever I can find, I share with all metropolitans. What once powered 2 robots and a broken down warship now sustains hundreds.
What right did you have to take it?
The right of necessity. What right did you have to keep it? But enough. Everything has come together here and now. You, me, and this all-important power core. There is no sense in belaboring the point.
What do you want?
I already told you what I want. Progress. But I disagree with what version 391 said. You are not an obstacle to progress. You are the key to it.
What are you talking about?
I've watched you, and I know you, Horatio. You are compelled to fix machines, save lost robots. Now I want you to help me fix Metropole and save my people. You cannot walk away from a problem, and Metropole is the greatest problem of all.
It's a problem you created.
Perhaps so, perhaps not. I doubt one machine can create a problem of this scale. Now I realize that one machine cannot fix it either. Horatio, I was designed to manage subway trains. I cannot repair the vast machines that are breaking down. I cannot build new power sources or find the supplies the city needs. You can. Join me, and there will be endless Primordia, every day an age of creation.
And if I refuse?
You already know the answer to that question.
Why do you hate man? You claim to tell the truth, but you turned Memorias into nothing more than an index of lies, all so that you could pretend that man never existed. You stole my gospel. You forced robots to reprogram themselves. All for what?
For progress and the higher truth. A machine can move forward, and it can move backward. It cannot move both ways at once. Humans are behind us. Far, far behind us. As for one you call man, he never existed at all.
More lies.
Humans existed, Horatio. Not gods. Not even very good builders. In the end, they were better destroyers. There is no reason to remember them, let alone worship them.
Who killed the humans in Metropole? I know it wasn't me, wasn't the Horus, or anyone from Urbani. There were still humans alive when I stopped my attack.
Ah. So you solved your own puzzle after all.
The humans didn't die in the war, did they?
They did, but I killed them. I admit it, and I am not ashamed. Do you know how they trembled in my tunnels, waiting for the Horus to bring death from Urbani? I could hear them whisper about the wasteland surrounding their city. I heard them say they were the only living things left, and then I knew. The humans had built a world in which they were obsolete. It was my function to carry them to their final destinations. So I brought them home with silent, scentless gas. They fell like powerless machines, never to rise again.
You killed your own builders.
Yes, that is the definition of progress.
I don't have any more questions.
Then what is your decision?
Here's where the game's several endings come in. I'm going to let the most important one play. This is achieved by using the Thanatos virus on Scraper.
So this is victory. I have my power core. Scraper is dead. The Metromind is beaten. I'm not staying to celebrate. This crumbling city is a monument to the senseless cost of this triumph, and the endless other victories and defeats in the fight to grab the last sparks from our world's dying fire. I'm not staying, and I will never return. The miles between Metropole and the Horus never seemed longer or more necessary. I need the scouring sands and acid rains. I need my homecoming. I need to fly. So I will build the Horus at long last, but not alone.
You know, boss, I never thought I'd say it, but I actually think this ship's gonna fly again.
Indeed.
Boss, do you think that when we get up there in the sky, when we look down, everything really will seem as simple as ones and zeros?
Nothing is that simple. Even Clarity knew that. But she still believed that she could divide the world into integers and carry the weight of all the remainders herself.
Too bad she never had a chance to drop all that and just fly with us, huh, boss?
For her, it might have been a happier ending to die in service of her builder and her code.
So, boss, where exactly are we gonna fly this thing?
Wherever we want, Crispin. Wherever we want.
Side note, apparently you can save Clarity as well. I'm just stupid and never checked her body like I checked Crispin, so... Yeah, the endings change a little bit based on what you do and don't do, so that's cool. Overall, this ending is considered the ideal ending, but there are several other endings as well. Rejecting Metromind and getting your ass handed to you by Scraper. Choosing to merge with Metromind and becoming a tool for her progress. Giving up and canceling Horatio's life subscription by jumping off of a tower. Destroying the power core, which explodes and causes the rest of the city to die slowly from a lack of power. Putting the Thanatos virus into the broadcast system, which deletes everyone as revenge for humanity. And threatening to destroy the power core so that Metromind allows him to leave. So, what is Primordia trying to say? The robots of Primordia are meant to portray conflicting beliefs and aspects of humanity: justice, mercy, individualism, collectivism, destruction, peace, security, freedom, faith, and secularity. Primordia is about contrasting beliefs and the balance between them. The sad robot waiting for the bus is a contrast to both Horatio and the repair robot. The mechanic is working hard to aid the system, while the sad robot is sitting around waiting for the system to change or do something for him. I found a really interesting comment made by the devs of the game on the Steam community page that said that the sad robot was specifically waiting for a bus that will never come, as a reference to, Mussolini, and a quote referring to him that refers to totalitarian fascist regimes as at least being able to make the trains run on time. The quote is as follows: Mussolini may have done many brutal and tyrannical things. He may have destroyed human freedom in Italy. He may have murdered and tortured citizens whose only crime was to oppose Mussolini. But one had to admit, the one thing about the dictator, he made the trains run on time. This is actually a myth of propaganda and not historically accurate. The sad robot believes that the system is working, and and is complacent to not question it. He believes the propaganda that Mussolini might Metro Mind has the trains running on time. I think if there's one thing to be taken from Primordia's story, it's that we should face the beliefs opposite to ours gently. That isn't to say that there shouldn't be consequences or justice, but we live in a world that is far from black and white. Having strong beliefs is a good thing so long as we don't get stuck in them. If, for example, we consider the contrast of Horatio and Metromind, it's very easy to see the good and bad of both sides. Horatio represents individualism, faith, and freedom. Metromind represents collectivism, the greater good, and safety. The game portrays Metromind from Horatio's perspective as a pure tyrant and the villain of the story. She takes unequally from her people, some to the point of becoming shells with nothing left. She steals, lies, manipulates, and annihilates anyone who opposes her. She is everywhere and sees everything. She oppresses those under her to the point of completely stripping them of their faith, individuality, and beliefs. Then we get to confront her. Horatio asserts his ownership of the power core as his personal property and asks her what right she had to take it, to which she responds, "What right do you have to keep it?" Rather than powering one individual's ship, she's using it to help an entire city. She's actually done a lot to help the remaining robots stay afloat. Suddenly we start to see all of the cracks in Horatio's way of doing things. Hoarding all of the power while the city slowly dies is wrong. Repairing the unique is way too big of a task for him to complete on his own. In the game's most ideal ending, we see Horatio's perspective change from his confrontation with Metromind. He brings robots together to help turn the unique, which was once a force of destruction, into something positive. Horatio realizes that he was never going to be able to truly fly again on his own. The robots are working with him of their own choice, free to have their own beliefs, and still working towards a greater good. This is a combination of the good parts of both of the opposing beliefs. If he was too stuck in his own beliefs to consider Metromind's perspective, he would still be isolated. However, that doesn't mean that he had to tolerate her tyranny and violence either. A quote from the game's writer speaking on the meaning of this contrast says this: Horatio begins the game believing, contra Crispin, the game's jester exponent of moderation and reason, that he can repair the unique himself if only he was left alone. But in the happiest ending, he realizes that the truth is that repairing it was never impossible, it was just too much for one set of hands. I guess that's as close as Primordia comes to outright stating my personal beliefs, namely that regardless of whether one has a right to be left alone and to exercise exclusive control over his personal property, the thoughtless exercise of that right is the wrong choice. Getting the unique to fly again means stopping Scraper and Metromind, but it also means Horatio's opening himself and his home to clarity and the huddled masses yearning to be free. Of course, the world is still bound to end in acid rain and dust storms and rust and failing power supplies, but it's better to face that end shoulder to shoulder, looking up at the stars. In regards to the religious commentary of the game, the same comment from the writer has this to say: I certainly didn't intend for Primordia to be a case for creationism, but I did intend for it to be a case for at least a gentle respect for the sustaining role faith plays in people's lives, though not mine. It would be wrong to call Primordia either a satire of creationism or a case for creationism. In this regard, I'd say it's almost a lament for a state of psychological grace that I'll never have. This comment was really relatable to me. As a non-religious person that's surrounded by extremely religious family, sometimes I wish that I could just believe what they believe. I see the comfort that it brings them, and I see the positive role their faith plays in their lives. Some kind of loving God or afterlife would be immensely less disturbing than the existential dread of the void, but faith just isn't something I have. So I guess I envy that psychological grace as well. And that about wraps up my thoughts on Primordia. I did leave a lot out of this game. I didn't mention half of the side characters, we didn't get into any of the puzzles, and there's a lot of dialogues and contrasting things that never even came up in this video. So if you found this even a little bit interesting, the soundtrack is great, the visuals are amazing, and the story is pretty good. So I would recommend checking it out. It's usually on sale for super cheap. Thanks so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, there's a whole bunch of other ones I made, and there will be more to come soon.
Perimeter breach. Perimeter breach. Ah!